Hey guys, so we're back for another episode of LitTalks, a Chit Chat with Lits. I am Benjamin.
And I am Febie.
Yes. And today we're going to talk about the globalization of drag.
Drag race.
Drag race. Yeah, so before we start, mag-talk ka in regards with drag race first. Unsa ni siya and how it came to be and things like that. Ikaw, Febs, unsa yung knowledge about drag or drag race na gano'n?
Drag race, I just know that drag race is that it was created by RuPaul. I don't know if I'm right. As what I've searched about here is that drag race is, we're not talking about the racetrack or like some stuff of like racing, like cars. But we're talking about RuPaul's Drag Race, and it is about a reality TV competition that has taken the world by storm. And it was really created by the legendary RuPaul. So that was my brief knowledge about Drag Race.
Yeah, actually me too. Very surface level ng akong knowledge when it comes to Drag Race. Kay, napay episodes na nakita ko online. Nabo na sa Drag Race Philippines, but napod sa other programs sa international versions sa Drag Race. And yeah, si RuPaul dyan akong unang tao na may maisip when it comes to Drag Race. And other than that, kung ato na siyang i-connect sa globalization, diba, when we talk about globalization, okay, it is the interconnectedness or the interdependence of a certain institution and how it became globally recognized. And I think Drag Race mo siyang epitome aning idea, because it went from a very local thing and it got recognized globally. Diba, nag-start ni siya sa not really lang sa parts of America, but it's a form of local art. It is an art form, right? And yeah, it became progressively known right after around 80s na the rise of LGBTQ activism. And number one na si RuPaul Charles, according sa akong research. And yeah, siya yung very prominent person when it comes to Drag Race.
And you know that Drag Race tells also about the interconnectedness of the cultures, the identities of it, and the economies, especially in the 21st century, where Drag Race have like dazzling makeups, like if ingana ang ni Benjamin kay pag gawas na siya kay malahin ng. So yeah, like magic twist of Drag Race when you say Drag Race. And nag-ano siya, like from Manila to London, to Bangkok, to Bogota, and Bogota. And Drag Race is no longer confined to underground clubs. It's become a global language to express their identity.
Yes.
And their artistry when it comes to makeups and the empowerment of it, like Drag Race, and ma-feel mo empowerment when you if ma-join Drag Race, and ma-showcase mo ang iyong talent when you participate in the Drag Race competition.
Precisely. And going back to that idea and how it became globally recognized, Ragnani siya yung very pivotal shift ganit. Like, it went from a local thing, nahimo siyang globally recognized. And so the moment nahimo siya globally thing, not only like in countries na nag-incorporate anin sa ilang reality shows, right? And makita na nato na here sa atong local areas na incorporate ko rin siya mga events like Drag Race events, like mga night program contest. And that is very, interesting to look at it, because it went from local to global to global to local. Yes. And yeah.
So grab your wigs, pack your glitter, and let's sashay across borders to uncover the globalization of Drag Race. Because bench. This isn't just a show, it's a global movement.
This is meant for it.
Yeah.
Yes, and speaking of Drag Race, we actually have here a guest that is a very super fan of Drag Race and is also an aspiring Drag Race performer. Yeah, so he has done a Drag Race performances as well sa Davao. And yes, let's give it up for Mr. Lloyd.
Hi.
Also known as Mx Maem.
Yes, thank you so much.
So we're actually grateful kay itambong juga sa amo ang request na ma-interview ka sa inang nabutaan.
It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to be graced upon by you.
Yes, so hello everyone. So my name is Lloyd Garcia and I am a Drag Race super fan. I watch Drag Race ever since I was little. So I guess 2013, so I was 13 years old when I first watched Drag Race. And now I am an aspiring drag queen. I have performed in our company's year-end party and I performed as a drag queen there. So yeah, I think I'm going to start there my journey as a drag queen here in Davao City.
Wow! Ito na daw ka.
Yes, actually. This month lang, December 7. So, nag-impersonate ko may artist which is Beyonce. So, I performed as Beyonce. Sing and dance, actually. So, it was my first time. I usually dance lang, pero like performing in drag and then singing also. It was my first time. And it was during our year-end party and we won as champions. Yeah.
And also, mag-talk ta about sa imong, background sa imong when you kind of start of getting into your drag race, like you start about makeup and all, like nag-wear na pag mga kuan and shenanigans.
Actually, I'm not a professional makeup artist. I don't really know how to do makeup. That's why during my performance doon, when I did drag, nagpa-makeup lang ako and I rented some costume. But I have been immersed with the art form since I guess first year ko sa college. Wherein there are a lot of influences from my peers, na ako yung mga friends na drag queens, local drag queens dire. So, and I also watch a lot of tutorials ko na mga drag makeups. So I think I get a lot of inspiration from that. But like personally, I have not really started doing my own makeup or doing my own costumes and all that, but I would love to do that in the future. Yeah.
And also, so sa tibok yung journey, kasi mong gina-consider ng mga drag queen mothers, like ina-aspire din yung mga, someday yung ikaw or
when it comes to like aesthetics, so naadyo ko yung favorite sa US nga franchise. So it is Miss Fame. Kung ano siya ba, pakay siya ba yung makeup, very plakado, so she's one. And when it comes to performance, kay si Alisa Edwards. So si Alisa Edwards, ang first na ako nakita ng performance kay siya, and I see myself in her when she performs. Kaya kanang all out, tapos kanang very flexible, because I can do some stunts. I'm gonna do it now. So yeah, I think those are my inspirations. And here naman sa Philippines, I have friends na mga drag queens. Dili nag-appeal on Drag Race Philippines. Yeah, so name a few brigading. We have talked before.
Sa season 1 ba siya sa kuan?
Yeah, season 1 Drag Race Philippines. And then actually, friend ko na ko yung drag doctor na wala tayong appeal, pero appeal ko muna. So dagan kong mga friends actually sa ila kay dagan kong maka-communicate through Facebook, support sila mga gigs and all that. So those are my inspirations when it comes to drag.
So you have the connections already, right? So if given the opportunity in the near future, would you love to mo join sa like, Drag Race Philippines?
Yeah, I think my only problem naman dyan is the accessibility to those things. I would love to do that. I would love to be a part of Drag Race. I would love to be a part of the drag family. Or like, here magod sa Davao, hindi pa kasi na po opportunity compared dito sa Metro. So, I think it would be great. I would be very willing to do that. If given the opportunity, and of course, if given the budget.
Of course.
Dili jud koan guys, dili libre ang drag. Very mahal ang
That's the way.
So, like another question, like how has your journey in drag shaped your perspective, especially like on gender, like identity and its performance?
When I started watching Drag Race, gamay pa kay ko ako, like I'm very young, 13 years old, so I have limited knowledge about gender and sexuality. And watching the series, dahil kong matunan every season, even every episode, dahil sila ginatackle ng mga issues or topics na dahil kayo matunan when it comes to gender and sexuality. And I think that's where I mostly get my knowledge about gender and sexuality, how to overcome those kind of problems, and how I also identified myself. I think dako kayo tabang ang Drag Race in myself, self-identity and knowing who I am as a person when it comes to my gender and sexuality. So, dako ka siya influence, dako po siya natabang sa kuha kay because of Drag Race, dili lang man po niya sa pag-perform. I think it's also because of the purpose of drag itself na makaingon ka na, I think this is where I belong and I see myself doing it. And I think daghan po tayo mga bata para dyan ma-inspire not just to do drag but also to come out of their shell and express who they are. And I think I'm one of those kids before na nakita ang self sa Drag Race and then mas confident ako.
Di ba, kabalo man tanong it's a form of self-expression,
Yeah.
it's a form of art, right? But it goes beyond that. Like, dili lang siya a form of artistry, but makita dyan sa each child ba nga, or makita nila ng self and every time magtanong sila, nagawa siya ba, like, how can I say this, or put this into words, but,
The representation.
yes, representation, right? Like, dako yung part of Drag Race, kay, actually, I mean, hindi kayo fans of Drag Race, right? But I have nephews, like, gagmay ko lang sila dyan actually, pero nag-watch na sila ko, RuPaul, oo. And I'm actually kind of proud ba, kay, at a very young age, kay, na-introduce na sila sa yung anak kami. And, bro, di na kayo sila lisod mag-adapt sa reality po, kay, kabalo na sila sa mga kuhaan, yung nga butang, like, even if bata pa sila, kabalo na sila sa, sexual orientation, sa gender identity, kay, ginatakaw mo na sa Drag Race.
Yeah, I mean, it's an advantage po na we have the media and the social media today because before, hindi ka na ito na makita. So, medyo ignorant pa kayo when it comes to those kind of concepts. But karon kay good thing na naatay social media where they were able to see that, watch that, and mas dagan pag mga gagmay mga bata, mga part sa community na mas ma-realize nila kung sa'yo ang ilang self and of course mas ma-accept with society ang kanang art form.
And that banks on the idea of globalization of media actually. Like, di ba, na topic na to on digital media and how it shape or focuses its influence sa other people. So, dali na kayo ma-disseminate jud ang mga ideologies or ideas na yung ani, bantog. Like, dali na kayo siya makuan ba? I mean, yeah.
Nagandang shoutouts.
Yes. Becomes an avenue for people na makabalo sa ngayon ako tanggol.
Actually, katong 2013 pa ko, lisod kayo makita dyan o kada website para na maka-watch at pa like, napa yung mga illegal sites ng kinakinuhin. Pero hindi siya illegal, wala siya ka ng torrent, if you know what is torrent. So, lisod kayo siya kay bata ka ko, walang pabalon sa na siya, pero like, since gusto nyo na kayo watch, so dito na nyo na sa siya pag-access. So, i-compare na to siya karon nung nga, mas dali na dyan kaayo ka makita episodes karon before magkabuang pangita asa na ko siya pangita o na link. Aside, maklik pa ng mga link kay virus ana. So, you know, it's a good thing that the digital world has also really shaped in benefit to those kind of contents na ma-watch na paparoon kayo. Mas lagyan na din siya makawatch kayo. Before, sila akong gamay na kayo makawatch kayo, lagyan na kayo.
Like, true dyan kayo na. Karoon dyan very, like, nana tayong resources dyan ang tanan. I remember, I have a friend so like, fan na siya Drag Race dyan, bata pa niyan. Internetan pa niya, like, piso net gayang atake. So, every taga may piso dito like, Drag Race sa dyan na yung tanawon. And dina-download pa na niya, like naman na USB, right? Pag anak dito, puno na ba niya ang USB. But karoon sa cellphone lang, grabe na kayo mas, like even ako mga manghod or ako pag mangtuan, dali kami sa maka-access because like ginaspoon-fed agad sa tuwa ang kuhaan, yung content. Dili na ta, ngunit tagpuan ba? Hindi na ta mag-isod-isod ang pangita. Of ways para lang makita niyo kayo. Wala niyo, nanata sa digital world and nanata sa tuwatan ng advantages. In a good way, actually.
So hi guys, welcome back again with our third segment of with the topic of our podcast today is about the drag race and on globalization and drag race. So yes.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you?
Yes, ma'am.
Doing good.
So I have questions with you right now. I
Yeah.
hope you're not feeling pressured.
Medyo, actually, let's go.
So like, how do you see drag race evolving in the next 10 years?
I think thriving since before I really did not expect or see it thriving now. So I think it will thrive more in the future, knowing that there are a lot of avenues na, a lot of platforms available, and there are a lot, or there are more people who are more appreciative of the art form. So the more audience there is, of course, the more that it will thrive also. So,
So like, na-mention mo ganyan sa episode 2 sa kung segment, Mx Maem, na like, you like, aside from like financial problems when it comes to drag race or competitive drag race, like what's some other na challenges na ma-facing when you compete in a drag race competition?
siguro based on what I've read from legit yung mga drag race contestants, no, siguro before joining drag race, ang ilang main problem dyan is kato, isa na itong kwarta. Second is accessibility sa mga designers. Yun na pala madunggan sila because of course during drag race na magod mo yung ginarang mo yung diba? If you know that, where nasa lang ginasuot, nasa lang category. And dili magod na siya makita lang sa mall, dili mo siya mapalit lang sa boutique. Na-enjoy uban costumes dito nga, kada ni pabuhat dyan mo siya. So, if dili ka known na drag queen or let's say provincial drag queen ka, labi na kaya mag-listen dyan pag mga designers niya matawaran na pag mo kaya of course mahal dyan kayo na sila pangayo and then dili man dapat mga drag queens na and post drag race ang makita na ko po the problem is kung sa ilang trabaho after kaya what I've learned is that drag is not a long-term profession or not a long-term job. So, naiuban sila na sila daytime jobs, na sila sideline, kaya dili man sila everyday nag-work good. Dili sa Davao, usually, open ang bars during weekends and yun naman ang adlaw, let's say 2 days or 3 days. So, kada ka days, usay kas alam na sila mag-gig. So, wala siya sila like trabaho dyan or permanent job. So I think that's one of the problems po na nakita na ako from the drag race contestants.
Right? And I think that is very apparent po ba ang problems when it comes to provincial queens dyan, no? Like, nakita ko interview live ni Kiana with a K, but provincial queen man siya from Cagayan, I think.
Yes, yeah.
Right? And nag-share siya sa yung problems when it comes to that, hey, lisod na jud if wala kayo designer and dili jud equal opportunities and resources if gikan ka sa province o taga metro na ka nga drag queen. And I'm gonna ask you lang you ha, and how can you use digital media para i-challenge ni ng mga notions na daan or kaning realities jud sa provincial drag queens. Sa ako na ito siya kakino maka-create an avenue
Like how can you mainstream
as a provincial drag queen.
Siguro, ang gibuhat mo before during pandemic is that nag-live sila, nag-perform sila sa Facebook Live or even TikTok. Tapos, nag-ask sila tips dito. So, dito parang na makaparta sila. So, I think that could be one way of earning by doing drag. And for the provincial queens, I really don't think na dako na kayo o impact ang digital karon kay since we're back to face-to-face, doing gigs face-to-face, physically. I think what we can do is like really support them in their social media presence. Kaya nakupod kayo na siya kay, di ba, dili man gud na sila ginahire sa mga bars if dili sila well-known.
Yes.
So I think mas dako siyang tabang if supportaan na to sila when it comes to their social media attractions and all that para makita po sa mga establishments or even sa mga organizations na mag-imo og event na ay okay na siya kalagad kaila sila kay well that's the sad reality of our country pag dili ka sikat dili ka kwaon so I think that's one thing then na maka-help sila we can help them through that. And siguro, if not may mga events po, you know, if you are able to do that, yan, may mga events or even big events, if you can just recommend performers, why not itong mga local na mga drag artists here in Davao City, mas makalas sa magbayad. Okay?
Yes.
Diba, compared sa mga well-known, mga sikat kayo ng mga drag queens, bayad. Dagan man tag-drag queens here sa tong city. So, we can make use of those local drag queens and maybe they will grow and maka-join pa sila drag race po because naka-earn sila naman.
Perfect. And
so yeah, like another question, like, di ba like karon na akong generation, like, na-enjoy ka ng mga shows, just like RuPaul's Drag Race. So like, di ba introduce na ni Drag Race into global audience. So like for you, Lloyd, how do you think these shows have impacted the art form?
Actually, of course, drag has been there way before Drag Race happened. So lagi na kay, even here sa Philippines, buhay na ang drag na art form. Siguro, because of Drag Race, mas taas na standard ang mga tao. Kaya ang giset mo niya standard sa Drag Race is dapat performer ka, dapat nindot ka o kaya mga costumes o and everything, dapat sikat ka. Where in fact before that, ang mga drag queens na to before kay impersonators, mostly impersonators lang dyan na. Karon because of Drag Race, you don't have to be an impersonator to be a drag queen, just have to perform, dapat guwapa ka, ano. So I think that's one impact that Drag Race have made sa society o sa art form itself. And for me, karon po mas nidako ang platform, nidako po ang purpose sa drag, kay lagyan na siya ang avenue, like for example, drag is very political na karon, which has always been political. Mas lagyan lang yung nagagamit ng drag as an art form to be an activist, to be political, to make a statement. That's one thing that Drag Race has offered since ang show nagapakita po doon na mga political, mga challenge, dapat sila yung mga political challenges mga doon. And ako yung mga, kasi na yung mga runway looks po na ay statement. So siguro na-inspired po ang mga people to do that also. So, yeah.
right, and very, critical ka itong buwan ni Marina Summers. I remember ka itong design niya na ay kamot na blood.
Yeah. I think that was during Mega Ball. Tumarin na ay mga gunshots din sa
Yes.
That is a political statement also.
And going back to that, factors that you've given, diba, ninun ka nga, the rise of globalization, mas ni-rise po ang standards when it comes to drag queens. Para sa inyo, like, as a, drag queen yourself, mas nakakatag ba siya improvement or, na-deteriorate ang standards sa drag race? Like, mas dako bang cons or pros niya?
Either way, because if you look at it on your own perspective, of course, mas maka-improve siya nga, you want to do good, you want to be better, like praises from people, and that will benefit you then. But at the same time, medyo toxic siya if we view it as a community nga, or dapat kung drag queen ka, dapat guwapa ka, dapat polished ka. What if wala siya kwarta? What if nag-start ka lang siya? So we are imposing something that is very toxic, and we're imposing that onto someone na dili pa accessible, dili pa siya maka-access ato ng mga resources. And unfair siya for others kay ito magwa pa na kaayo pen, ayun silang part, of course, they can afford that. What if sa itong mga nag-start pa, and then na-judge na nato sila, ay dili ka pa rin mag-drag race, kay nani mong looks. Well, we have to consider din the resources, the budget and all that. So, kana siya nga standard siguro na siya it's a double-edged sword for me kay kanang it's good for you personally, but it's gonna be toxic if you impose that standard niya. Qualified ka mag-drag queen if in-ani ka. So I think there's no qualification as long as you are expressing yourself in the art form, polished or not polished, you are a drag queen and you're a good drag queen as long as you can express yourself through it.
Like, it's truly a parasite on Japan, right? Ginapot ganito sa high pedestal ang mga drag queens.
Yeah.
Dapat muna, like, it's very impossible, it's very superficial na kasi. And I think ang the best conjure na-produce globally or through globalization, okay, nakahatag dyan platform.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mas daghan na dyan o platform, like here sa Davao City before, ang mga bars dili pa kayo nagpa-perform o drag queens din kay, well, unfortunately, ang pagtanaw sa mga drag queens dili kay, and kanang funny lang, so sa mga barangay lang sila mostly makita. Karon kay, nasa sila sa bars nag-perform na sila, so makita nimo nga, dako siyang impact kaya ang pag-view na sa mga tao sa drag queens kay ang standard sa drag race na dapat performer ka, guwapa ka. So that's one good thing about it, nga daghan ako naka-perform, daghan nag-earn because of that.
Yes. And yeah, like nahimo din siya personal livelihood sa tao, right? And it's important to note po ba, like fully booked na dyan ang mga restaurant, like bars. Like, I think that was last month na ang Galang Sisters na ito sa Echelon ba to? Or, grabe, dali ka na
Club.
Dali ka na hulot ang kuhan dyan ba? Palit ko ito siya. Dali ka na hulot dyan ang kuhan tickets. And, yeah, mag-kuhan ko ta, mag-tackle ko ta in regards with, Philippines getting its own franchise of drag race. Like, para sa drag queen, di ba? Like sa Southeast Asia, gamay na kayo ang kuan. I feel like, if I'm not mistaken, Drag Race Thailand or from Philippines ang na franchise. And very monumental kayo na kuan.
Yeah.
Na, decision sa management ni RuPaul. Para sa inyo, like, kung saan ang kuan nila, like, impact globally dyan sa laban na sa mga Filipino trans or Filipino drags na nanatay sa ring franchise.
Actually, dugay na dyan kayo na siya ginakall kay nauna mag sa Thailand. I think around 2018, 2017 kayo na rin Thailand. And after nagkaroon o ng Drag Race Thailand, ang mga Filipino kasi ginagin sila, puntaan na po diri. And 2021, nagsugod I think, or 2022. And it was very monumental kay daghan kay drag queens here sa Philippines. And it was a very important show, not just for drag queens here in the Philippines, but for the queer community.
Yes.
Kay di na siya representation sa mga drag queens, mga good. Representation siya sa tanan mga bayot, nan part sa LGBT community nga makita nila ilang self sa mainstream media. Yeah. I think like first, it's one of the first mainstream media na puros lang dyan LGBT community and very unfiltered, like what you see is what you get. And I think that's what the Drag Race franchise have really impacted the global community po. Kaya dili ka man sa Philippines may drag queens, may
Yes,
drag queens sa mga different places, even the most tawag dyan, kana mga conservative na mga countries or areas. So napun sila yung mga drag queens dito, and napun yung mga stories na magawas nga they were able to express themselves. Even here in the Philippines, di ba, conservative katong country, pero we were very brave to really showcase those kind of talents that we have. And dagan po tagmadunggan nga stories from the drag queens na makarelate ang tanan. So, very important ka nagka-drag race kay na ay representation. Mao dyan ang best thing about it, na yung representation sa media ang LGBT community.
Actually. And it's kind of long overdue na po ba, no? Like,
Yeah.
as one of the most, gayest country in Asia. Like, ganun, recently, if I'm not mistaken, 2021 lang nag-start ang Drag Race Philippines. And, so ato, like, na-feel dyan ako ba, very apparent dyan ang safe space na nabuhat anin niya. Like, daga na dyan kay bata na, like, kagalanan na sila na nag-aware na dyan sila kung mahal na kay. And it's because of Drag Race, like, na-localize niya ang once globalized na franchise. And, speaking of localized, diba, daghan po drag queens nga taga, Davao, if I'm not mistaken. Like sila, Lady Morgana.
Yeah, Lady Morgana is from Davao. There's a lot of them actually.
Si Lady Gagita, ano ba siya?
Dabawan niya siya, but she resides in Manila. Ito siya nag-work. Pero taga Davao na siya before.
Si Mx Channel, hindi siya ba?
Hindi, I am not sure about that, but ang known lang na taga Davao is si Lady Morgana, si Lady Gagita. Beginning is not from Davao.
As in?
Mostly taga Manila, adjunct sila. Yeah, ang mga taga Davao kaya sila Morgana and so si Lady Gagita, mo nang issue ko niya, wala kayo siya nag-perform kay hindi ako ang opportunity before.
Okay.
Mo nibalin siya dito sa Manila kaya mas naging opportunity.
And other than that, din ako, Kiana, our very own, and CEO po. And it's actually nice na dyan ba ma-recognize na nila talent. Kay, imagine, for, pinakatuig, kita na good very open kayo ang not really open, pero ang idea sa ato ba nga, ang ganing being gay or being part of LGBT is for entertainment man no? But now, ang mga parts sa LGBT community kay gina-own ang narrative, right? Through entertainment. Yes. Not just, entertaining, but nag-educate for the people.
Yeah. It's a great thing.
So like, given na, di ba, ang Philippines is, the Filipino culture is very sensitive when it comes to like showcasing our cultures and very conservative Filipinos. So like, given the fact na naatay mga Drag Race shows, like, unsa ang like for you, like, unsa ang shows na reflects sa Filipino culture?
It reflects the unsung stories of queer Filipinos and individuals. Kay very crucified kayo magod ang LGBT community dito sa Philippines. And well, that roots from the very religious culture of Filipinos. Of course, pag religious kayo religion na ito na ginatakan. Pero in the background, na-adjo yung mga individuals living na very gay, na ang gay culture dali. Actually, ang pop culture na ito dili sa Philippines kay mostly rooted from the LGBT community. It's very ironic nga dili na ito gina-celebrate ang LGBT community wherein mostly sa to ang mga culture, sa itong mga expression, ginagamit na ito, gikan sa LGBT community. And like for example, kanang mga ginastorya ni Vice,
especially the humor.
Ang humor, puro sa LGBT rooted ang humor na ito in the culture. So, I think that Drag Race have really revealed the other side or the other culture na ginatago sa to ang conservative na culture. Kung tanawon niyo hindi siya colorful kung atong tanawon lang is the conservative side, but actually Filipino culture is really colorful when it comes to that. And I think Drag Race has a big impact on bringing that culture out to the world. Kaya mas nakaila sa world na
Yes, yes.
magtuo sila na, Philippines is a very conservative country because naging Catholic and all that. But right now, they see Philippines as, there are a lot of gay people pala. There are a lot of drag queens out there. Okay, because of Drag Race Philippines, napakita nila ang talent sa mga Filipinos. So kaya lahat ng perspective mostly sa mga international, sa mga foreigners or sa other people outside the country. Karon like ilang views sa pang culture. But at the same time, it did not like, did something bad sa culture sa Philippines. Right? It made it colorful lang.
And I think na-epitomize dyan sa Drag Race, katulad yung saying na, disturb the comfortable and comfort the disturbed, right? The comfortable here being the Philippines as a very conservative country, and di ba, nag-make way dyan ang drag queens, kaya i-disturb na ang notion, preconceived notion sa Filipinos na, kami sinasalot na sila na, like, di ba, is mag-2025 na, and nadya po yun na mindset.
At 2025 din ay.
And it's a nice way to put at it lang ba kay at the same time gina-comfort na to ang disturbed once disturbed, right?
Yeah.
Like nadyo stigma pag part ka sa LGBTQ dapat di ka masosiyetahan kay mo ni sila, but karon like because of this opportunities kay we're ginagapos noon ta ba sa kaning ideas ganing nani, like gina-open niya atong mind to something greater, something wider.
Ang dili lang to like na kay ma-inspire ko niya ang younger generations ba na dili maula silang genders,
Yes,
identity, and then because of that, mas ma-showcase nila kung kinsa sila.
Ay, tama kayo.
Actually.
2 hours later.
And welcome to the next segment sa atong LitTalks, Chit Chat with Lits. And karon mag-talk na tabaw sa akoan like positive impacts sa drag race, especially sa localization sa drag race sa atong country, di ba? And we know man nga na during greater representation drag styles and cultures and ma-showcase yun dili ang diversity, right? But kaning kuan ba kaning opportunity or other than that kay disadvantages kay unsay mo like maingon sa idea nga ma-homogenize culture sa drag race or sa drag queens because like very general kind very ano kind siya ba like halos tanan na may ma-appreciate and then wala na siya distinct culture from other people from other countries.
Siguro before I perceive the positive impact siguro i-point out na ko nga because of Drag Race, medyo westernized po na to ang standard sa local drag here. So to makita sa international drag, kay hala, nindot kayo siya on ka na outfit. Dili man to na ma-pull off kay diri because dili man kayo naging kwarta, dili kay nindot ang mga materials and resources. Ito po kay dahil performers dapat how to perform. Kung dili ka how to perform, dili ka drag queen, dili ka i-respect as a drag queen, pag dili ka kabalong split, labi na mga stunts ka na mga death drops ko no, if you can't do that, kay marang, dili kay kahawd na. So I think because of that, because of drag race, the international drag race, so na ay homogenization sa drag styles niya. If you can, duwa na ilang makita nga style sa drag, which is you should look good, dapat nindot ka ang outfit, lamig iglawas, or performer, dapat ka kabalo ka mo split, kabalo ka mo death drops and all that. And those standards or viewpoints is all because of the westernization of the art form. So nakapekto sa pag-localize na to sa drag na pag-very Pero the positive impact na po is that daghan po mugawas ng mga talented individuals na inspired na perform. Kaya daghan man yung cake performers din sa Philippines. Like, akong mapansin dyan as I have watched several or many international franchises Philippines jud ang pinakadaghan ka makaigo jud halos sila tanan kabalo mo kanta kabalo mo sayaw. Like you can see that from international franchises. Like mutana man international nga franchise, isa na or duwa na kabuk ang kabalo mo sayaw or kanta, pero mo watch the Philippines kalate, very competitive kita nan. Maski parang mo kanta din siya, legit.
Yes,
So pero bitaw like that's one positive impact of Drag Race. Here's the local scene of Drag Race. Nanggawas sila mga very talented na mga individuals and mas nagabata.
Right?
Which is a good thing kaya at least diba ma-improve, ma-hone, ma-develop ang ilang talents over time. Kaya bata pa sila. And since dalawa pang role models yung mga drag queens, so inspires na dito and they will do good, you know. So I think that is one important thing. But again, just calling out na dili tanan drag queens na dapat kabalong sayaw.
Yes.
Na may other talents and skills na pwedeng acquire sa drag queen. So di na siguro na to i-isolate ang isa ka person na dapat kabalong kamon ani to become a drag queen because there are more things that we can do as a drag queen.
I think nag-bank ko lang siya sa idea ko talagang heteronormative na thinking na to. Okay, di ba sa mga like sa family, if bayot ka or part ka sa LGBT kay dapat either talented ka kay para sila kung dili ka talented, dili ka worthy, like wala kay value dali. Like makita ang kanilang worthy if very entertaining ka, right?
Yeah. And not just that, if the girl could come, matabang sa family.
Achievements.
Breadwinner, so it's a sad truth, pero we're working it out.
Yes. And talking about, from global to local, mabalik na po tag local to global, di ba? So, si Marina Summers, nag-appear siya sa Drag Race,
UK the world.
And I feel like siya ang pinaka right?
Yeah, Filipino,
okay.
all international. Yeah, she was the first Filipino
Naggikan dyan sa
Yeah, siya first.
And grabe po kayo itong na-impact. Kay gidala dyan yung Philippines ba? Ang Philippines, ang country ba? Philippines din yung gidala. And magkita dyan na itong bang very, incorporate dyan ang culture as a Filipino.
Yes.
Diba? Kasi yung, wearing na sanina, diba?
During challenges actually meron siya gina-inject na Filipino culture, which is a good example of localizing the international scene, where gina-introduce niya what is Philippines, what can you see in the Philippines, and what is drag in the Philippines. So, I think that she is a great representation of Filipino drag.
Despite, drag queen, as a default, very western na dyan. Si Marina Summers ang gadify ana ba? Despite of it gani, kay nagko-conform niya po siya or ginawa niya ba, gina-propose niya idea about intersectionality, very diverse siya kung take ko, and then very, so western na niya siya ako ba? Hindi siya maulaw
So given the budget to sa other international shows, unsa for you, unsa yung nakita na differences between the budget of it? Ang production ba nila ay mas kuyaw when it comes to Drag Race? Nag-value ba sila sila franchises?
I really don't have any knowledge about that, pero what I know is that every franchise kina-adjust budget and depende magbuda sa economy po sa country. So, as what I've known, dito sa Philippines, kay ang dakong budget, ang later na seasons na.
Yes.
Sa pagsugod sa season, kay makita dyan mo ang medyo low pa ang budget. Pero as it progressed, tuloy sa season, makita dyan yung mga improvements sa budget. So, that's because of the sponsorships. And makita ko mo nila ang support sa mainstream media.
Yes.
Kaya daghan mag-good ka ay very trending location ang show. So of course, daghan po over risk ng mga brands, daghan mo sponsor, so mag-improve siya. Whereas sa other international franchise, I'm not sure with that. They're I think mao lang reason good nga wala dyan na human ang international, ang Drag Race US. Kay sikat siya globally. So, ganyan education partnerships, ganyan siya deals and so on. So, nag-improve ang production, mas nag-bongga ang production, and pag di na siya mahuno, good. So, yeah, that is one of the things for like factor dyan ang economy sa isang country. And siguro factor po ang availability sa show itself.
Yes.
Hindi mo na ito ma-show, hindi mo na ito ma-watch ang Drag Race Philippines sa ABS, sa TV5. Pero na naman tayo nindot tayong avenue where to watch it, which is a streaming platform niya. Palit lang ang account or subscribe account ng mga tao. So of course, kwarta yapon siya. So it's a win-win situation sa production at sa mga tao. So kung nag-continue na ang Drag Race sa Philippines. Yeah.
Yes. And as you all know naman, mga very inherent na dyan sa Filipinos ang pagiging pilot.
Hindi ba yung ba? Ano ka ba no?
I mean, very gay dyan ang Philippines as a country. And it's kind of, very interesting lang na ang own version na to, or own franchise na to ba kay di-Philippinize ang kuan, very western idea ganit sa Drag Race. And natin makita na segments or shows or part ganit sa Drag Race Philippines na very Filipino dyan ganit ba? Sa humor, sa humor dyan yung magdala pa na sa kuan ba? Lahi na dyan ba sa Philippines?
Yeah. Unang na yung mga international viewers nga, hindi maka-gets.
Yes.
Like, of course, it's our own culture. Diba? Like, hindi na ito na ma-explain sa ila. Funny sa kung kaya, ako ng culture. Sila dili. Pero at the same time, what's good about it is that they are able to know that it is our culture. You know, it's not something that they would get, but at the same time, it's something that they would accept ba or appreciate na, oh, it's their culture. They find it funny.
Yes. And
I don't find it funny, but I find it funny, so maybe it's funny, so I think that's one impact of the localization of drag. Kaya dili kita nag-depend sa unsa man ang western na culture, which is I appreciate of the production here sa Philippines. Kayo, from the set design, makita di mo po ang set pa lang kay makayon jud uy Pilipino jud kay
Philippines.
Di ba ito itong word koan kanang kahoy bringing anime ang style. Oh, ano niya uy we will be right back. Basta bring ang style sa ilang set design niya, very Filipino bet na. So from that alone, makita jud yung mga very rooted to Filipino culture and tradition jud ang paghimo sa Drag Race Philippines. And that's a good thing.
Yes. Like, naghatag dito our own spice na to. We're different and we're better.
The humor is unique.
Actually, very canal yun.
Yes. Hindi mo balik yan.
One eternity later.
So hi guys, welcome back to our segment 5. So for this segment, we have pre-submitted questions from our viewers.
Yes, not just viewers but Drag Race fans as well.
So first question. How can global drag culture prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Jojo Wain. Can you please repeat the question, madam?
Again, how can global drag culture prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Okay. I think the global drag scene has really provided a significant amount of activism, and dili lang siya sa ilaha, which is in the US, dili lang siya sa US na culture, dili lang siya sa ilahang social climate or political climate, pero makorelate po ng ubang countries. For example, about discrimination. So mag-tackle sila about discrimination, mag-tackle sila about families nga di accepted ang mga kids, children. So I could mag-tackle sila on HIV/AIDS awareness. And I think that is not just in their country na nahitabo or nagahitabo, but on the other countries po wherein we also get to learn about it. And na siya yung impact po sa other countries nga makadungog sila ato, and then it's also great opportunity if napay drag race sila, which is makita nila nga na-tackle siya dito sa US, pwede nila i-tackle sa ilang franchise. So, I think that's one thing that we can get from it.
Yes, and another question from a super fan as well. Like, how does globalized drag culture navigate cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation?
Okay. Actually, very siya, no, parang it's a very difficult thing to tackle, the cultural appropriation and appreciation. Okay, I'll try my best to be politically correct. Pero, the global drag scene, mga di ba, nag-showcase of different cultures. Especially me, if naka-watch na ako of different international franchise, I've watched UK, I've watched Spania, Italia, France, Belgium, Canada, and so many international franchise pa. And tanan dun sila yung mga very distinct na mga cultures. And it's not a permission for me to do their culture. It's not a permission for me to impersonate their own culture. Kaya it would be a cultural appropriation, of course. Pero what Drag Race has made it clear to the audience is cultural appreciation. Whereas nag-showcase sila og ng mga different cultures for the audience to know that it's the culture, it's the culture that makes their country beautiful. It's their culture that makes the franchise itself colorful and meaningful. It's not a permission for the audience to do it themselves if they are not part of the culture. But at the same time, I think it's important to draw a line between appreciation and appropriation because pwede kong good na ito siya buhaton in honor of their culture. For example, I think nakukay siya nga issue before sa US kanang mga hair braids. Ginabuhat siya sa mga Filipino drag queens karon and medyo na-issue siya because it's the culture daw of the US drag queens. For me, I think it boils down to how it was portrayed, you know. Kung unsa lang culture dito sa US, kung unsa ang purpose ato na particular culture, if it is, you know, celebrated, it's a good thing that we also celebrate it. If it's not because we celebrate, if it's not because they celebrate it, if it's because like, let's say, oppression, kato siya nga culture kay rooted from oppression, from different problems, tapos gibuhat nato siya kay as a sign of mockery, as a sign of celebration kuno. So, mali jud siya. So, I think Drag Race tells us nga, there are cultures we need to appreciate and there are cultures we don't need to appropriate. There are cultures that we have to watch lang and not like take it as it, you know, take it as ours. So I think that's one thing that we can get from Drag Race when it comes to cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation.
Yes. Like there are lines and boundaries here when it comes to that. And
it's a complex issue ha. Hindi tama kaingon niya, ay cultural appreciation na, ay cultural appropriation na. So I think mas dapat careful jud labi na kung drag queen ka. Careful jud ka sa unsa sa ginasuot, dili kay kung makita niyo mga lindot kay okay na, pero wala kabalo kung makita sa mga taga-naay gumayon sa amin sila, that is an offense or an insult to my culture, di ba? So malang karon ang mga drag queens karon very careful kay sila kay dali na kay ka ma-cancel
actually,
no? So karon kay it's a good thing na careful na sila because ignorance is a bliss, you know. Sometimes you also have to educate yourself then. Labi na, you know, you have been doing that for years. So, dahil pagkaayo kung dugi na talaga drag pero ignorante yapon ka. So, it's a great thing na we educate ourselves. Naga-research na ang mga tao kung silang suoton, silang i-perform. Labi na, mag-lip-sync tapos na ay ginang utter na word na very, insulting sa other communities.
So for the last question from our super fan. So the last question would be, how do drag shows address issues of racism, homophobia, and transphobia in diverse cultural contexts?
As what I've said earlier, no, so drag is political and it has always been political. Before Drag Race, ato ang mga LGBT community dito sa US before, historically speaking, so natay mga trans o mga drag queens who performed in activism, for the community before, during the HIV/AIDS epidemic. So if you can remember historical icons like Marsha P. Johnson and other trans and drag icons before, gamit nila ng art form to raise awareness, dili lang nilang voice, nag-perform sila and to the purpose, to the activism that they are fighting for. So I think karon mas daghan na og avenue ang mga tao to do that. And since Drag Race have shown na you can use the art form as a form of activism, as a form of social or call for action and all that, kay you can use drag in a very creative way, so nag-work ang creative minds sa mga drag queens, so nag-uban sila, nagamiton na nila as call for action sa mga different problems sa society, dili lang sa gender and sexuality, na po yung about government, against the government, political issues, and all that. So, dagan ka makita actually, labi na ka ng mga during rallies.
Yeah.
Usually kahol pag na-rallies na drag queen mag-perform. And during Pride Month, way back before pa jud na yung mga Pride Month, and wala kay Drag Race before, yung mga drag queens nag-perform during Pride Month. Tapos napula sila ginapaglaban ng mga issues or mga concerns sa community. So, yeah, I think drag has always been very political and it will stay political until the end of time. So, I think that's one great contribution of drag to the society.
Yeah, so actually, nakuha na ng questions.
Oh my God.
I really appreciate you, Mx Maem, for giving your insights and yeah, actually mag-conclude na dyan actually sa kwentuhan. Huwag na dyan na natakil na dyan ang dapat matakil and istorya ang dapat ma-istorya.
Right.
And before that mag-end, kay we would like to give this token lang. I'll say thank you kay gipaulakan dyan yung mga invitation. Dawa na magtawakan yung podcast. Yeah, so thank you so much, Mr. Lloyd Garcia, also known as Mx Maem.
Thank you so much po sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat sa ayuda sa gobyerno. Thank you so much.
And that ends our LitTalks Chit Chat with Liz. Goodbye.